welcome back. My name is Elena, and this is Elena's Knits. Today, I have a special topic I want to talk to you about, and I'm going to see how much I can knit on this lovely sock while I'm talking to you about it. The topic is how to prepare for a more relaxed knitting event. So you may, if you've been watching my channel for a while, or you may not if you're new. If so, welcome. Yeah, I've been to a couple of knitting events recently, and they both had challenges in their own way. One was Knit City Toronto, and I had a great time, but I found it very overstimulating. While I love everything I bought, I probably did buy more than I needed. Well, I definitely bought more than I needed. What do we need? But yeah, like so late since then I've been kind of rolling in yarn and trying to figure out where to put it and how quickly can I knit so that, my stash isn't at an uncomfortable level for me. We all have our own different comfort zones. Yeah, so the overstimulating part was the trouble for Knit City, as was my lack of prep in bringing snacks. Because, they had food there, but of course it was very busy. So there were very long lines. I knew that would be the case, and yet I was just in a rush to get down to the event and didn't do what I really knew I should do. The second event I went to was Fergus Fibre Fest, which had just so much potential to be an amazing event. But it was really the weather that was the problem with that event. Just because of, commitments in my weekend schedule, I couldn't get there until around noon. It was a bit of a long drive to get there, and we had things to do in the morning. And by the time we got there, and again, I hadn't brought food, so we had to eat pretty much as soon as we got there. And then when we got out of our luxurious cafe, Tim Hortons, everything was closing down. So, I mean, we still had a good day out, and I still met some great producers, but yeah, it was a bit of a mess also. Yeah, I'll link to those 2 episodes below. So I do have another event coming up soon, which you'll find out about either next week or the week after, depending on how things go. And I want to, based on my experiences, plan a little bit better this time. I want to go in mindfully so that I can, control what I can control, and also just have a good mindset to accept, what the universe brings to the table. So let me just jump right into my tips. There's, I think, 10. So the first one is think about what kind of experience do you want to have? So are you going to spend the day? Are you going to spend a couple of hours? And do you want to, really kind of be anonymous and just all about seeing what you can see? That's a great way to approach an event, especially depending on what your social battery is like. You can go and be more of an observer, really take in the objects, but just, keep your space clear. Or is it, do you want to go and really talk to people and learn? And are you going to go to a workshop? Yeah, what are your, not just your goals, but like what kind of experience is it that you're looking for? So for me, for this next event, I want to have a calm experience. I want to not feel rushed. I am, again, not looking to buy anything. So I'd like to buy as little as possible, which is, how buying nothing is more likely to be buy as little as possible. I do want to learn. I do want to talk to a few people, but I know that my social battery isn't endless. So I want to be intentional about who I talk to. And then, yeah, think about what are your goals specifically. Like, are there specific things you're looking to buy? Are there things you'd like to learn? I have shared that one of the things I'm doing more of, and actually I've done quite a bit of it this week, is walking while I'm knitting. So yeah, I think it's just, for me, walking is a really healthy thing to do, just for my mind, but also for my body. And knitting while I'm doing it, on the one hand, like it makes the walk really cozy. And getting a few rows done. This week I was going to an exercise class, and I knit on the way there. So I felt like I had accomplished things on so many different levels. I got my workout in, I got my walk in, I got my knitting in, and it was just all done in a really cozy, natural way. So yeah, I'm looking to see if there's other folks who are doing that. There's what is it called? A yarn wrist holder or something like that. That they do sell. I was thinking about it this week. I don't know if I need it, but I do want to look at it, because just having my yarn in a little bag with a string on it, that also works. Yeah, so those are my goals. Also, I'm bringing a friend. Well, a friend is coming with me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having that experience together. And hey, friend, you know who you are. All right, now I'm trying to read oh yes, do your research. Okay. So again, this is all based on what kind of experience you want to have. You might want to go in and be completely surprised, and not do your research about who are the vendors, but maybe you want to do research about what's the weather. That's really important, as I've learned. But for me, wanting to buy as little as possible, and also wanting to be mindful of my social battery, I want to do some research so that I know, who are the people I might want to save some of that energy for, or like the folks who I might get energy from. And then, if I don't talk to anybody else, that's fine. Yeah, and then it will tell you like, okay, I don't want to spend anything until I've seen this booth and I know, what I've spent there. That could be a really good reason to do your research about the vendors. Yeah, and then sometimes you might want to reach out to vendors in advance to see what they're bringing, or maybe you want to special order something, or maybe in my case, you want to reach out to see if they're willing to have a chat. So yeah, I've done that prep work now for next week. Yeah, so then this maybe should be number one. And I was talking to my daughter / production assistant about, now that she's been to an event, what is her number one tip? This is her tip. Bring snacks and water. Or as she said, eat first, shop later. So yeah, definitely plan to be there longer than you might think, and think about all the things you might want to do before. Yeah, so last week, for instance, if we had brought a couple of sandwiches in the car and just, had them quickly before we started shopping, we would have had probably a half hour before all the booths started to shut down. I mean, hindsight. It was a fine day. I keep saying that. It was a fine day, anyways. Dress in layers. So often people want to show off their most beautiful productions, but depending on whether it's an indoor or outdoor event, it could be really hot. It could be really cold. So dress in layers. I think what I wore to Knit City was perfect. It was, a t-shirt that was really breathable, and then what is it called? The holiday vest by Petite Knit. No regrets. That was a great outfit because I had, airflow around my arms, but I was showing off a knit. Yeah, it was easy breezy. So yeah, dress in layers. Choose your companions carefully. So yeah, I'm excited to bring a friend to this next event, and I think this friend is the perfect one to bring. She's really excited about this whole channel thing. So I think she's excited to see, I don't know, behind the scenes. It sounds a bit like more of a thing than it really is, but she always likes to learn. We, I don't know, can read each other's thoughts. So I think that, we're not going to be, neither of us is going to be rushing the other one. We'll be comfortable going our separate ways for a little bit if we want to, and then coming back together because we have maybe different learning goals. Yeah, and then we'll, get to have a really good debrief. Other times, I'm really glad I went to Knit City on my own, because that would have been way too much for my daughter. It would have been way too overstimulating. And then we would have been out of there in 20 minutes. And that's fair. That would have been just way too much to expect of her at her age and just with her whole personality. For me, I'm able to kind of tune some things out so that I can, pick up what I want to and then have a longer time before I get completely overstimulated. And maybe that's something I've learned over the years that, she hasn't had the chance to do, or maybe it's just we're different people. So yeah, sometimes you want to be alone. Sometimes you want to have a friend. I'm really glad my daughter was with me in Fergus, because we had that long drive and we were singing the whole time in the car there and back, and it was a blast. But yeah, I think being out in the wind and cold and rain, that wasn't really her jam. Okay, so then and then I have in brackets, knitting breaks. Again, this comes from Knit City. So yeah, definitely bring something to knit on. So yeah, I'll be bringing probably one or two projects next week, because I think I'll have more time to knit there. But when I was at Knit City, I was walking around the stalls, and then I think it was about an hour in, I started to feel that, overwhelm. And I saw some people just sitting on the floor and knitting, and I thought, ooh, that's what I need. I was lucky enough to find a spot on a bench, and I sat down next to a lovely lady. I knit probably on a sock, I can't remember. But I did some knitting. I had a little chat with a stranger, which is one of my favorite things to do that actually gives me some more energy. We had a good time, I think, both of us, but I certainly did. And then I was, ready to go for another hour or more. So yeah, take knitting breaks or just take breaks depending on what you like. Consider your timing. So sometimes it's good to go first thing. Sometimes it's good to go really late. So again, depending on whether it's indoors or outdoors. Sorry, honey. Sorry, my dog's just under the table here. And I accidentally startled her. Yeah, so what was I saying with timing? Yeah, so Knit City, I got there when it first opened. There was a huge long lineup. It was moving fast because the staff were amazing, or the volunteers. But then it was really busy in the event. I heard from lovely folks who commented on my video that the second day, or even later in the first day, was much more relaxed. At least definitely to get in, but the Sunday, I think, it was less crowded. So people, some of the stalls that got, or booths that got really packed, people had more space to look and shop. Whereas with Fergus, it would have been really good to get there first thing, because we would have had a couple of hours to go around. But that was outside of my control. For the event next week, first thing, I think there's sign up for some workshops. So if I wanted to do that, I would need to get there right when it started to sign up. But if I don't, then that's not necessary, and I can, let that first fury die down. I mean, yeah, it's not like Black Friday or something like that, but I'm sure there'll be a lot of enthusiasm. Yeah, so consider your timing. And then here we are on my last tip: remember your intentions. So this kind of bookends what I was talking about at the beginning. So once you're in there and you're getting all excited by what you're seeing and the people and, who are the vendors, touching things, seeing the colors, seeing everybody's beautiful sweaters, it can get really overwhelming in a wonderful, joyful, impressive way. But just go back to your original intention. So what kind of experience am I trying to have? I want this to be, I want to be present. That's for me. Maybe yours is completely different. But, just take a deep breath. Remember what you're there for. I'm here to have fun. For me, that's the main thing. Learn and have fun, and be part of a community. So yeah, don't lose sight of that in all the excitement. And then I think I'm giving this advice to myself, because I'm just as likely as anybody to forget everything I've said. So I'm not saying I'm an expert, but this is what I'm intending to do next week based on my mixed experiences. So we'll see how it goes. I will report back. How did these strategies work? Did I adopt them? What worked and what didn't. So yeah, we'll talk about it next week or the week after, depending on how things go. So that's the end of that part of my episode today. Now we'll go on to the regular content of what am I wearing, which is nothing knitted, so I won't say anything more about it. What am I knitting? So right now I'm on the foot of the sock I was working on last week. That's made out of this Opal Beauty yarn. I'm just loving the colors. They're so cheerful. I think these are going to be for my daughter. They're pretty tight, I think, for me, because I'm knitting them on a smaller needle than usual. And the yarn is finer than what I usually use. I think that they'll be a nice, perfect fit for her. And what else? So yeah, I'm on the foot. I think one of these days I want to do a video on the anatomy of a sock. So in my mind, I'm picturing having a series of socks that are at different points. And so I'll talk about the cuff, I'll talk about the leg, I'll talk about the heel flap and gusset, and the foot and the toe. And so whether you're knitting socks or not, you can see what goes into that. A lot of people are intimidated by socks, but then also a lot of people start knitting with socks. So I don't know. I think nobody needs to be intimidated by anything. Just take it slow, ask a friend for help. But yeah, socks are completely doable, and there's so many different ways to do them that there's one out there for you. And what else was I going to say? Oh, if you start with socks, amazing. Wow. Because it really will teach you everything you need to know about knitting, increasing, decreasing, casting on, ribbing. Yeah, by the time you knit a sock, that's basically you're done. Cable and lace, it's not really any different from knitting. It's just moving stitches around. So that's, an amazing way to start if you're able. I did not start that way. It was many years before I got to socks. But then once I did one, I was hooked. So that's what I'm knitting. I'm usually knitting this either, in a meeting, on the bus, walking. Yeah, more and more I'm doing that while I'm walking. The only thing I think I need to be careful about is my posture, because I was getting a little tight this week. Or maybe I just need to up my stretches and strength training. Yeah, the other things I'm knitting are, right, I didn't write my notes, so let's just hope I don't blank on the name of anything. This is the Rosenlund top by Sari Nordland, and I have made quite a bit of progress on this. It's been my main watching TV knit. So yeah, I watched a lot of TV this week, and I'm much more comfortable with the pattern now. I don't have to look at the chart for anything but the center panel now. And where I'm at is, this is the back. And I think it's not going to be quite up at the top of my back because there's going to be straps that I pick up and knit. So I think it'll sit, a little bit further down my shoulders. And then you can see here, I've increased for the underarm, or like the armhole. So the next thing I have to do is pick up stitches for those straps. And I'm wondering, where did my other stitch marker go? Anyways, it'll be fine. So yeah, I'll pick up to knit straps and do those, and then I'll start the front and then get to the same point at the front, and then we'll join to knit in the round the rest of this, which will be lovely. It's funny, I have 2 projects right now where I'm knitting back and forth. Yeah, this one is at least interesting. So then the last thing I've been knitting on, but not much this week, because it's so boring at this stage, is the Molly vest. And so this is again from 52 Weeks of Knitting, and by Lina Publishing, and the designer for this one is Maya, Krzis or CH. Anyways, I'll put it on the screen, and I still haven't figured out how to pronounce her name. Help me out, anybody. But yeah, so I'm just about at the underarm, but I think I'm gonna knit an extra inch from what the pattern calls for, because I'm long in the torso. It's beautiful. It's gonna be amazing. It's very lightweight, but just, I think, kind of perfect. It's just that it is stockinette stitch, and it's very warm because of the Suri alpaca blend. Let's get these stitches back on the needle. Thank you very much. Yep. And yeah, so it's a little bit boring, but also hot on my hands because we had very fine weather this week. But just, yeah, not where you want to have woolly wool in your hands. Yeah, what else did I want to say about this? It might be dormant for a little bit until, we get a nice rainy day. So that's what I've been knitting. So I'll leave it there. The next episode will probably be the one from my next knitting event where I'll report back. But if something prevents that, I'll probably have another chatty episode. So thanks so much for joining me. It's a joy to be part of this community. And I will see you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.